Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Y'all are brewheads? Yeah, we brewheads. So pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah.
What's good, y'all? This is C Certified Brewhead, and welcome to episode 88, one of my favorite numbers of Beer Not the Podcast Adjunct series. This evening, we got a great one. Now, it's been really cool for me as a podcaster and to over time catch up with breweries that maybe we spoke to a few years ago and, you know, bring them back and see what's been happening. So usually we try not to wait too long. This has probably been, I want to say, probably close to 4 years since the last episode, which is unacceptable. And tonight we are making up for it. I have two wonderful humans joining me. We have Nathan from NathanDoesBeer and Troy from Labrosse. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Great to see your beautiful faces. I'm going to check when that last one was. Do you remember by any chance, Troy?
I don't remember exactly. 2018, maybe? Yeah, almost 4 years.
And it was cold, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember I came to pick you up, I think, around Oktoberfest. Yeah,
Yes.
It was cold. There's snow on the ground.
Yeah, so it definitely was. Okay, it says 2 years ago here.
2? No, that's
It was
impossible.
episode 1... Hold up a sec. What episode number is this?
That can't be.
124.
That can't be right.
It was episode 124, and you're of the original series because we kept changing it up. And then Nate, your final one was 159. So it was like 30 episodes before we wrapped that one up, which was just before the pandemic. So maybe it was early 2019 based on that.
2019, maybe. 3 years?
3 years. It feels
I
like
don't know.
way
I don't
longer.
remember what I did yesterday.
That could have been.
Yeah, honestly, I have no idea ever what is going on anymore. So either way, we got you back. If you guys want to
Awesome
check out
to
the
be back.
original, it's a pleasure, man. Episode 124 of the original series, if you want to catch up, just to get the story. But we're going to go over some of that again tonight because it has been quite a while. So, fellas, this is a pleasure. We're going to crack the beer, obviously. We're going to get right into it. So, we're starting off with a beer I've actually really excited to try since you mentioned it on Chinwag a few episodes ago, Troy. I was super stoked. Tell us about this one, bro.
Yep, so we made 3 different beers for Oktoberfest back in late September, early October. This is our light German blonde, a Helles, yeah.
Love it. Oh, 4%.
Easy drinking.
Perfect.
Yep.
I love it. Ready for it. Great name, too. Good. Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Do you, what hops are in this one specifically?
Let's see. You know what? I'm not sure. I will look that up as we talk.
Yeah, we can, just curious. I mean, I imagine if it's a German, what do German Helles's usually use? Like, is that SARS too, or?
Yeah, we have used Saz before in our German lagers.
Okay.
Let me see here. Luckily, I have a handy dandy little thing with all my info in it.
I love it. I usually just rely on Untapped, personally.
Yeah, and we usually publish them all on the can.
Oh yes, totally. Sorry, Nate.
I said you've got good glassware for a Helles there.
Yeah, I made sure. I got. So I have to take the photo. We'll make sure Tiff's taking that photo in the background. You know the vibes. First of all, boys, cheers. Great to see your faces.
Cheers.
Cheers, fellas.
Yep.
Nice. Light, crisp, grassy, super smooth. Touch of bitterness in the
Super
back
clear.
end. Yeah, super clear.
It's got a good,
Great
it's got
head.
like a nice little bite of citrus in there, in there as well.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
No, this is great. So this came out in like October-ish? Did this come out in like October 2020?
Yeah, late September, early October. We
Okay.
had an Oktoberfest Festival that we did outdoors. It was still kind of that weird time where we couldn't have stuff indoors. There was no restauranting inside, so we set everything up outside, braved the elements a little bit. I think Sunday was pouring rain.
Jeez.
No, it was good. We had 3 different beers that day for the release. We had a Marzen, which we called Life on Mars. And what was the other one?
Nice.
Wise Guys, a Hefeweizen.
All right. I love it.
Yeah.
Listen, you have. I remember what you did. What was it called? It was like a standard. When I say standard, flagship pilsner that you used to do.
The Gold Digger.
Gold Digger. I knew it was gold something.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
go. Yeah, tell us. So this is like, is that one still around?
Still around, yeah. So we've switched what we're doing a little bit, and maybe that's one of the benefits, one of the silver linings of COVID is getting a chance to stand back, sit back, and reflect on what you're doing, what's working, what's not working. And we decided that we had way too many kind of flagship beers flying around everywhere, so we pared it down. We kept the Gold Digger, which is our I guess American take on a German pilsner or Czech pilsner.
Okay.
And a couple others are in there as well. The Nor'easter obviously was
Yes.
one of our first New England IPAs, and it's just I'll call it a good grocery store New England IPA that you can find. It can survive a bit on the shelf a bit longer than some of the other super hazy, hoppy, double dry hopped IPAs.
Gotcha.
And the mango creamsicle, I think, is the
Oh
other
yeah.
one that's definitely a staple for us. So we're just trying to keep it, condensed, not too many things flying around on the shelf, and then experiment all in our lab stuff, or just little series that come out like this Oktoberfest series that we did.
Very cool. Yeah. Go on, Nick.
So what is it about? You mentioned that the Nor'easter is one that has that is a good grocery store New England IPA, which I feel like is is probably um, an underappreciated thing with how long some of these can end up as as shelfies. So what is it so what is it about it that gives it a bit more gives it a bit more life on the shelf for a bit?
Mm.
Yeah, so it's mostly the dry hopping schedule that we do, the amount of hops we put into it. Hops are fairly volatile, though the flavor will tail off pretty quick. Um,
Yeah.
some of the lab stuff that we do, um, the optimal time to drink it is in the first 3 or 4 weeks. After that, we notice a significant decrease in
Right.
how hoppy it is. You don't get that slap in the face anymore. It's still drinkable, it's still good, but it's not worth a $7 can. The Nor'easter, it still has all that citrusy flavor from Citra and Azeka in there. But we don't double dry hop the crap out of it, so
Yeah.
it'll survive a bit longer. And then obviously in our production, we absolutely make sure we scrub all the tanks of oxygen. They're like really clean to start with. So we just take extra precaution that these are going to maybe sit on the shelf, and we don't want them to oxidize or anything before they should.
Hmm. I like that. I think that's smart because I never heard anyone sort of refer to it as that. Because I guess historically New England's weren't a grocery store kind of brand, but I guess we're at this point now. They've been around for, I guess, from what I understand, like 2016, maybe even a little earlier.
Yep.
And we're at the point now there are grocery store brands because I think that it's an underappreciated, kind of what Nate was saying, it's an underappreciated gateway beer too. I imagine that I've noticed over the years whenever I would, back when we could do things and see people, I would give, newer beer friends a sip of, they go, what's that orange juice looking thing you're drinking? But I'd have a sip and they, oh shit, it's great.
Yep.
And they didn't really understand that beer can taste like that because, sometimes even though, I would take a crispy basically over almost anything these days, it's not really going to be that much of a convert unless they're already like a macro lager drink and they try this and like, oh my god, this is so much better. So I feel like New England's good. So having a grocery store version of that is fantastic and leaning into that for the brand. Very cool.
Yeah, and we do constant quality control checks on it. We run a tasting panel with some people that know our products and know what they should taste like, and we bring we have old cans that sit in the lab, and we prematurely age them with wheat, and we just try to see kind of how long they will last. And it's part of having or wanting to play in that space a little bit, giving a little bit more access to our brand to some people that don't want to go out of the way to a DBSQ deepener or come directly to the brewery. So it's seems to be working.
That's probably That's probably like a good thing to test, and it's like, and I think you're one of the first that I've heard like mention doing that kind of testing before, is kind of like testing the can life on the like on the shelf, which is like it's something that wouldn't have occurred to me, but like as soon as you said it, like that would be a pretty important thing to know. I think especially in Quebec, where like where you know like distro and sales like and the sales environment can often like can be pretty varied from like from depanneur to depanneur, as like depending on how much fridge space they have, and how long
Yep.
like it's taken to get distroed out there, how long it's staying on the shelf before it gets in like in someone's hands. So that kind of um, that like that kind of quality testing would be like would be good information to have, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also another excuse to get people together and have do something fun at the brewery, get to interact with people and get some feedback and educate them a little bit about beer and the process and just have a good time. Part of it's about science. We do the quality testing, but then we always break out some new stuff and ask them, how do you think this is going? Do you think we should go in this direction? What are the flavors you're getting out of that? So it helps us in marketing, it helps us in kind of like a focus group. So it's kind of a double-edged, or I guess a win-win for them and for us.
That's great.
For sure.
I love it. So, for those who didn't listen to that episode 124, they can go into that sort of later. But I think it'd be valuable to maybe talk, a little more briefly than we would have normally gone into. But your brief beer history and then how the brewery came about, and then I'd love to do the catch up on the last few years, because obviously the branding's completely updated, and you've got the lab series that you mentioned, and there's so much stuff happening. So it'd be cool to catch back up on that. But just a little bit of history. Do you want to lay that out for the people?
Sure. So I started my garage, like I think a lot of the breweries, the smaller breweries maybe that started up, had a passion for brewing all grain beer, trying to figure out how it works, how the process works, how the equipment works, try to figure out all the ingredients, and you mess up a whole ton of batches, have to throw a whole bunch of beer down the drain, and that's part of the learning process. So it's I maybe don't brew as much anymore, but it definitely came from a place where I did have that passion of getting in the brew house and spending those brew days and hanging out with friends and trying to figure this stuff out. And it was, I don't know, maybe 2 years after homebrewing, I put together a plan with a buddy of mine I was hanging out at the time, and we scratched together some money and found a place and got some equipment and just went for it. And I think the timing was right. This was maybe before, I'll call it a big boom of expansion of craft breweries in Quebec. Our permit number is 141, and I think they're at 250 something, maybe a bit more now. So
wow.
In the last 5 years, it's almost doubled in Quebec, which is just amazing.
That's crazy.
Yep. And in the beginning, we were trying to figure out our identity, and with a very small marketing budget. So I think what we always like to do is do plays on words for our naming, and that was kind of what we did. And you can see it with Hell is Yeah, it's just throwing some fun words together and kind of being comical about the whole thing. And I think that kind of comes in the name of Labrosse as well. And I didn't get it, and I think we talked about this on the first podcast. Is I didn't get what Labrosse meant in a Quebec slang or French slang. Quand de virer en brosse is to get drunk. So it's every time we would have people coming into the brewery, contractors or whatever, helping us get set up, they would laugh when they heard what the name we were going to use is. So yeah,
I love it.
And I guess that kind of stuck. So we still like to work on plays on words, les jeux de mots.
Love it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's dope. So then, okay, so when we were talking, it was like 3 years ago, you had, like we're talking about the other flagships, like the Gold Digger, the Nor'easter, and I think you had the Brut IPA, which was really good too. What was that called?
Yeah, it was A2 Brut, or A2 Brute, which is
right.
Macbeth, I think, play on words. Yep.
I love that. So I remember like you were one
Yep.
of the first, I think, to have like a regular brew that you kept bringing back.
Yeah, we did it for quite a while. It was maybe for a year, 2 years. I think really the
That's
only
longer than
two
most.
breweries.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe only McCausland kept doing theirs. I don't see any anymore. It was supposed to be this huge new thing, drier IPA that people could just drink all day, and it just didn't stick. So
Yeah, shame. I love that style too. I'm
yeah,
definitely miss that.
yeah, and maybe this cold IPA thing, and I hadn't heard about it until Dan, our brewer, mentioned it, and had me on the hunt for looking for one. But I think he found a few, and I think he put together a really fantastic, flavorful, floral, citrusy, dry IPA, and it's really nice. I love it.
I love that one.
I'm
So
looking forward to trying that, because when I first read about cold IPAs like a few months back, I was intrigued by it, but but really almost no one almost no one is making them, and between Ontario and Quebec, yours was the second one that I that I'd heard
same.
of. The only other one that I was aware of was Leeway, that Matron in in Prince Edward County did. So I'm keen
Yep.
to try yours.
Awesome. Nice. Yeah, it's nice to think that you're on the forefront of something, and you always hope that something sticks and catches. And we've tried that a lot with a lot of things that we've done in the past, and some were successful and some we had to cut because there was just no interest. Um, I do like that side of it, but on the other side of it, we do have to follow what some of the super trendy things are, just that haze craze. Everybody's going bonkers over it. The one thing I haven't gotten yet into is the smoothie sour, whatever, chunky. I don't know what they are.
The greatest things
we
ever.
have,
Well,
yeah,
see, now that you've mentioned that, C is gonna be on your ass to to make one now. I guarantee it.
yeah,
You're gonna need to, bro.
I would be a bit curious to hear about to hear about ideas that you had that you that wound up being shelved due to lack of interest. If you if you think you can speak to any of those.
um, yeah. Maybe one that we thought it was a great idea. More maybe even for the branding of it. It was our Pioneer or Pionnier. There was a bar in the West Island called the Pioneer. It used to be Clyde's, and then they renamed it to Pioneer. And it was this old kind of interior wood pine, old kind of style. So when it closed, we wanted to immortalize this place, and we called the beer a Pioneer, and we made a kind of an amber saison, like a farmhouse beer, but we put pine tips in it, and it
Ooh.
it gave it a very interesting flavor, but it might not be something that I would ever want to do again. Yeah, I think a red farmhouse wasn't really what people were looking for at the time.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, that. That's a pretty tight needle to thread with something
Yeah,
like that. If you have there would have been there would have been a time where I think people would have been more more open to that style. I'm thinking pre haze craze,
yeah,
probably probably prior to 2016. There might have been a bit more interest in that. That sounds to me like one of the kind of special seasonal releases that BAOS might have put out back in the day.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, kind of with certain as the trends change on that, as I'm sure as I'm sure you've noticed, you probably hit you probably had that at a time when when interest was less what was less going in that direction from the sounds of it.
No, exactly. And the more we tried to make some very creative things, the more we saw that they were, you know, going towards those less often and going more towards, fruit added or adjuncts added into beer and the hazy IPAs. So we had to make some tough decisions, and decided to, sell off whatever we had of those, creative character beers and kind of make a whole line of trendy stuff, I'll call it. Which, it's awesome. I do love those beers too. I love traveling around and seeing what these other breweries have to offer. But there's a time and place to play, but not all the time.
How do you sort of navigate that? Like, do you, like, now knowing that you've had a few things that you've had, you tried it, didn't work, you tried to be creative, like, how do you test new things at this point?
So I think maybe that's why we started the labs, is that we can get away with making it once, and if it didn't work, lesson learned. I think people are maybe even more willing to try some interesting or different things if it's under a banner of innovation or labs, or like even all the stuff that the Brewski's doing. It's all very experimental, and their whole brand is about experimental. And I think people do like that. You can get away with trying stuff under that heading.
I like that.
Yeah, and we don't try to brew too much of it. We try it if it works. Like the Haute Couture, we tried it once. People loved it. I think it was our fastest selling batch that we've ever made. And I'm like, okay, let's make it again. We'll hold off for a couple months and let people's tongues get wet, and then make another one.
I like that. So the lab series now, I've had a few of them in the past, and I believe they're numbered. Like, it's kind of like lab series 08 or whatever.
Yep. So we started with numbering them, and we actually did that with our other main line as well. There's a number hidden on every single can, and that's just it lets us know, and it maybe lets customers know, if they know what that means, how far we've gone, how many recipes we've ever made. Yeah, 95. That's 95 different recipes on that main line since the day we started. So it's come quite a ways.
That's cool, man.
So yeah, we're up to 25 on the labs right now.
Nice.
Sometimes if we make one that's fairly similar, or we tweak the recipe, we'll call it a .2. And it's so it kind of branches out then at a point. But still, we still like to name them all. We still like to have that fun play on words with the naming and the marketing. So
very cool. For the lab series, what type of stuff have you been playing around with? I know you mentioned haze, and I think all the ones that I had were hazy IPAs from that series, but what else have you done?
Yeah, for the most part, that, I guess that was the first thing I was looking to dial in, is really to get a solid foundational understanding of how to make these beers and how to make them last as long as possible, and what hops work together, and what yeasts we're going to use, and how often we can reuse yeast without having to buy a fresh pitch every time. So it was a lot of that, and a lot of trying to refine, how do they call it? Fix an airplane while you're flying it. Trying to figure out a good recipe while we're operating, and I think we really dialed in some good keepers. So a lot of hazy IPAs. Again, like the Cold IPA, some innovation stuff. But we've thrown a couple of, or at least one Imperial Stout in there. The Stormtrooper, which I think was number 4 of that series.
What was that again?
One. Just a cocoa nib coffee Imperial Stout.
But there was something different about it, wasn't there? You did some like really interesting thing, I think, with the stout.
With that one, I don't.
No?
I think it was just cocoa nibs and coffee.
Okay. Maybe I'm thinking of another one you did. There was something I
Maybe.
remember seeing that you did it, because Noah from Beerism, when he got it, he showed us the photo. I'm like, it was fascinating. Whatever it was something I hadn't seen before.
Okay. I'd have to. I think it was a year and a half ago. Do I have? Yeah, I have one here. Maybe it's written on the can.
Yeah, there was something specific though, that it was either something else, either an ingredient or something.
Oh yeah, it's Team Lactose.
Maybe that's what it was. Okay.
There it is. There it is.
They just wanted to make you say it. You know the vibes. You had to do it.
No. out of all the labs that we've made, I think we still have a few cans of that one, and it's like obviously stouts can age, they mellow, and it's a high percent alcohol. It's 11%.
Damn.
I tried a can a couple weeks ago before I went dry for the year or for the month, and
month.
it is just mellow and nice and smooth and warming, and yeah, those kind of beers that you want to drink when it's minus 25 outside, like this weekend.
Yep. I think right now, just to, if you want to be exact, my thing says minus 20 feels like minus 31.
Oh, jeez.
And it's going to be, let's get down to minus
Yeah, it's not
30.
it's not getting much. It's not getting much warmer over the rest of the weekend.
Oh man, yeah. I haven't been out of the house
Nope.
since we got back from Toronto on January like 3rd. And the weather has just been horrendous. Like, thank God for delivering groceries. Otherwise, like, we'd be in trouble. I'm just looking, the whole weekend is just trash, like hot garbage. And even going into Monday, it's still in the minus. Okay, hang on. What day is that? That's Monday. Yeah, it's going to start to get better. Either way, is this not, I don't want to talk about weather because I know it's boring, but is this not, does this happen every year and we just like always have a selective memory and we forget? Or is it, because I feel like it's not normally like minus 30 for like 4 days in a row. It's like one day.
I think we just block it out every year because I think this definitely does happen every year. It's just, it's just so unpleasant that we block it out and then we end up being surprised again every year. But this definitely does happen every year.
Okay.
Yeah, how much do you drink, C? Do you remember what happened last year?
Dude, I say to Tiff all the time. I'm like, remember like last week? She goes, that was like this morning. I'm like, oh. It happens every single day. I have no idea what's happening at any given time. Like it's.
So maybe you're just moving really fast. You're approaching the speed of light, and things are just really slow for everybody else.
There you go. Could be it, man. Just ahead of the game. It's
No,
problematic.
I'm from northern Alberta, so a little minus 25 cold snap for a couple days is kind of like spring for us.
I got a friend in Calgary who owns a brewery, and I had her on recently just before Christmas, and I think in like mid-December it was in the minus 30s, and
yep,
yeah, that doesn't seem
sounds about like that.
Yeah, I know. I can imagine you probably don't miss that too much. That would that's the shit where you're throwing like the hot water in the air and it like freezes.
Yeah.
I had a friend that did that just last week. I'd never actually seen anybody do it, but a buddy of mine did it and turned to snow. It was interesting.
That's one of those things of like every time you see you see someone on the news do that, it's just a case of you just kind of have to shake your head a little bit of like, okay, how many reports are there going to be of people like scalding themselves if they throw it into the wind and it blows back on them, like that's just a case of like that's just asking for that to happen.
Yeah. Or directly into their face. Just frozen ice mask.
Oh, jeez.
Keeping the hospitals busy.
Yeah.
If they just get snow in their face, that's fine. But you'd really hope it freezes before that happens.
Yeah. Wonder how long you go. Yeah, I could. Oh god, it's just crazy.
But you know what? Maybe it's a real Canadian thing, but we just love complaining about the weather. And I was chatting with a friend earlier today. I'm like, you know what? I'd rather complain about the weather than continue complaining about this pandemic. I want to get back to normal complaining, not that other complaining.
I agree.
When the weather was the worst thing that we had to complain about.
I miss those days.
That's it.
Back to simpler times, hopefully soon. But okay, cool. So the lab series, doing a bit of haze, a bit of the stouts, loving it. What's changed with, say, your flagships between sort of last time we chatted and now?
Yeah, so we've just reduced the number, I think, of the flagships that we want to continuously make over and over. If we're going to make a one-off, we'll put it underneath the labs banner, and it just has a temporary space with us, and then we can move on. If we want to bring it back, we'll bring it back. If we don't, I guess you could even call it maybe our seasonal. The labs is more like our seasonal stuff as well.
Gotcha.
And it makes it easier for grocery stores. It makes it easier for bars that want to carry kegs of something just the same thing all the time. instead of them having to flip through a binder of like 30 different flagship beers, you got a more streamlined offering. 4, 6, I think we're gonna carry.
Okay, I like that.
Yep. And then for the bars that are a bit more avant-garde, willing
Adventurous.
to try adventurous, try some rotational stuff, they can pick any of the kegs from the lab stuff. So yeah, just kind of keeping those separate.
Smart. No, I like that as
Yeah.
well. I like having like the banner to mess around. I think that's really smart to have like that brand where you can just, we come up with a cool idea. You can just pull the trigger, move on it, throw it out under that. Boom, boom. Don't have to worry too much about interfering with the rest, which is great.
Yep. Yeah, I won't say that it's an original idea. I took a little bit of a back seat from running things for a while with Labrosse, and I was adventuring out and looking around, seeing what other breweries are doing for the better part of 2020. We had another partner step into the business. He was managing a lot of things, and I did get to see how other breweries are set up, how they're structuring. Like, I guess my example is like Boreal. They have their main few beers, and then they play with Brasso de Nord, their like the Nord-Est and Double Descent and all those beers. It's their playground, their sandbox. So
right.
I think it's important for breweries to keep up with new things and try to experiment. That's certainly what the demographic is looking for is all the new things. So if you can get both of those, I think you're winning.
Great point.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so you've trimmed down the flagships. So I love that. Now the branding. So looking at the can here,
with one exception, we added a new one. This one was the beer of the summer. I'm trying to rotate it right here. The camera's backwards. Sang-et-Sur.
Okay.
Yep. It's a blood orange sour, just a kettled sour. Really amazing. It tastes like an Aperol spritz.
That's nice.
Someone introduced that to me this summer. I had never had one before, but obviously knew what it was, and I fell in love with the just subtle bitterness and lightness of it. So Dan threw this together, and it is so good. We're gonna keep that one on there. I think just a nice offering to round out that mainline brand.
That's great. That's year round.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it year round. I think we ran out recently, but we'll make it again here soon.
Yeah.
Cocktail inspired beers seem to be like a low key fan favorite in in a lot of places. I notice it's not something that that a lot of people outright market it as, but it's one of those things that that when done right really seems to take off. That's the first time I've heard of of one being inspired by an Aperol spritz. That sounds like it would be pretty good.
Yep, and maybe we haven't even marketed it properly. I think the biggest sell we get on it is when someone comes into the brewery with their wife or girlfriend or something. They're like, "Oh, I really don't like beer. Do you have any cocktails?" I'm like, "Well, I have a cocktail beer. Does that work?" And 9 times out of 10 they're sold on the spot. So. But I think maybe we could do a bit better in just making everyone aware of what that one is and what it is. Like I was kind of joking with the smoothie sours and stuff. I think this one, it doesn't play in that arena, but it plays in its own arena, like you said, cocktail inspired beers that it tastes nothing like beer, but it's made with all malt, and you can almost consider it a very flavored seltzer. Almost, it kind of has that light, just touch of bitterness to it.
Yeah, there's definitely some discussion around smoothies, and people get kind of passionate about whether it's beer or not. And I believe most of the time it's 50% beer, like it's a Berliner Weiss base, but they just put unfermented fruit in it. Sometimes they pasteurize at some breweries and figure that out. But Derek from Brewski did admit that he doesn't think it's beer. I don't really care, but people who are mad about him, obviously, I'm team smoothie all day. Like, it's the great. They're amazing. I love them. I would drink them every day if I could. But like, yeah, they're like, who even gives a shit? Is the beer? Is not whatever. Just is it good?
Yeah, it's all you gotta do is get it in you.
Look at that. That was a segment. That was beautiful.
There he goes.
Eh?
Look at that.
Huh? I didn't even tell you to say that.
No, he learns. Yeah, I've tried a few of them. It's not something that I go to all the time, but I was in Toronto as well, right before Christmas, and I stopped out at Third Moon and picked up a whole whack of stuff that they had, and yeah, I'm sold on it. It's awesome.
So we can expect one.
We might be working on one. It might be a
My man.
collab. Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
Ooh,
Wow.
teaser.
We'll see if we can
Teaser.
leak some stuff. Yeah.
All right.
Depends on how many beers you get me through. I haven't drank in a week, so this first beer is already hitting me. It was a 4%er.
Oh, it's
Speaking of which, is probably about time to crack into the next one, eh?
yes, sir. So we're doing the IPA, the Haute Couture.
Or
we're gonna do the other one.
It's an oat cream. That one will paint your palate quite nicely. I'm figuring after the Hellas, maybe the Iceberg IPA, the Cold IPA,
Might be the move.
because it's drier. It's going to be much like the Hellas, except for a lot of floral notes, some citra, not too much bitterness, a lot of effervescence on it. So
right.
I'd suggest that one.
The Iceberg? Perfect.
All right.
Could you get
That sounds like a
in the
plan.
big fridge at the bottom right, put Iceberg. Beautiful. So this is the Cold IPA, just like Nate. I've only ever had one. I had the Matron one from Ontario. So I am curious. So for people who don't know, I think this must be the first Cold IPA we've ever had on the podcast here. So for people who haven't heard of, actually, you know what? If I've only ever had one myself, then it's guaranteed this is the first one. So, do you want to break down a little more what this specific style is? Because essentially, it's like we're talking about brewed IPAs, and this is one of the new kind of like trends that came out of the States, where maybe one brewery made it and launched it out there, and a few other breweries have given it a crack, and it's a super interesting style. Thank you, man.
Yeah. So I'll talk about a little bit what makes it different than a regular New England IPA.
Yeah.
So, first we'll cheers.
Oh, we'll do. Let me pour. Just got to get the photo while we're the pour photo. Oh, because it
yeah.
matches my pants too. Yes.
Nice.
Oh, almost there. Okay, so it's like not
you're wearing pants.
Let's say I'm not.
Oh, nice glass, Nathan.
There we go. That's looking nice right there.
All right, yeah, nice and clean. Boom.
Cheers.
Fellas, freaking get it in ya.
Cheers, guys.
Zdrovia.
Great head. Nice. So I want to understand what I'm drinking here, because it's a very unique thing. It's an IPA, but it's lagered, or it's got lagered yeast that's... Can you explain it? I always forget.
So, sure. So in the brewing process, well, to simplify, because there's a bunch of other yeasts that you can use, but the two main yeast styles strains are ales and lagers.
Okay.
Ales, all your IPAs, India Pale Ale, are made with ale yeasts, and they like to be fermented quite warm. The lager yeasts, like you make your lagers, pilsners, those things, they like to be fermented colder and longer, and that really cleans up the beer. You could get my brewer to talk all day about the phenolics and other stuff, brewing terms, that I don't understand all of that, but I know it gives you a drier, cleaner beer.
Okay.
So I guess the style, or what they were trying to achieve, instead of drinking one or two heavy, thick, full mouthfeel hazy IPAs and being done, they wanted that same kind of flavor profile, the same color, the same citrusy notes to it, but something more, I don't know, sessionable or drier, so that you could have maybe a few more.
Okay.
Yeah, and you say sessionable, and this is a 7.1%, but like it certainly doesn't drink like a 7.1%.
No.
That's it. So it's kind of a hidden hidden punch.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, it feels lighter. I feel less bloated and less heavy after I have a couple of these, versus like even the Haute Couture. I have one of those. I'm like, ooh, that one's thick, like drinking porridge.
Yeah, definitely. And I think something that helps to contribute it to to a drinking lighter is it drinks with with fairly high carbonation, which
Yep,
definitely which definitely lightens it up a bit. And you certainly
yep,
weren't kidding about the about the floral notes in there. That comes that comes through quite a bit. And I'm thinking to the way to the way Noah Beerism might describe it, because he's very because he is also one who could talk at length about about phenols and and the
yep,
flavor and the flavor profiles that brings out. But that, along with your kind of you've kind of got the Canadian classic C hops like Chinook and Centennial in there,
Yeah.
yep,
giving it kind of giving it kind of an earthy profile as well, which kind of meshes pretty well with the floral notes. And then it's and then you've also got like some notes of pineapple coming through in there too. It's it's a nice beer, like you say, it drinks light but still has quite a good depth of flavor to it.
Yeah.
yep. Yeah, and
Well
I
said.
think to support those flavors, you do need a little bit of a higher percent alcohol. That's why
Hmm.
all these hazy IPAs, they're up around 6.5, 7, 7.5, constantly. There's just so much going on. You need that backbone to support it, and the same is with this one. But like you said, just the effervescence, it kind of lightens it up. Doesn't feel too heavy. So I really like how this one came out. Yeah, and this is actually, I think, our second version. Yeah, it is our second version of this one. We did
Yes.
the Glacier. That was our first rendition. This one I think I like a bit more. It's a bit more floral,
Okay.
so it's good.
That's the second one. Okay. I just saw that in Untapped right now. So it was the different hop combo too, from what I could tell. From Glacier.
I forget what the dot one had. Do I have one up there? I don't.
Glacier is Mosaic,
Yeah.
Citra, and Azaka.
Yep, so different.
So you went with, like Nate said, Chinook, Centennial, Amarillo. So I guess I'm getting a bunch of everything Nate said spot on there. I'm getting a little bit of there's like some like subtle phenols in the back. It's a little earthy as well, and I imagine that would come from the Chinook, Centennial kind of flavor profiles that they would give it, which is interesting. It's such an interesting beer because it's clearly a hazy IPA, but like what would you say that the lager? It's lager yeast, right?
Yep.
Fermented warm. Is that fermented warm, like a lager, like an ale?
Nope. Yep. Yeah. It's fermented. Fermented cold. It's lagered.
Okay, so it's lager. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
What elements does it? What elements does that give a beer like this that separates it from like a standard New England IPA that's made with ale yeast? Would you say?
So I think it ends up tasting, I'll call cleaner.
Okay.
Like the difference between your standard pilsner or a blonde ale. Blonde ale, it's gonna feel more, I'll call it warm or like muddled. Whereas you like the term crispies. It gives it more of a crisp, defined finish.
Hmm.
I think that's really one thing that a lager yeast will do.
Okay.
So I have a sip of this iceberg and I really feel it bite into my tongue, versus you'll try the Haute Couture after, and that's kind of it's way on the other side, is that it's just going to paint your tongue and it's going to feel soothing and warm in your mouth.
Gotcha. What would be and this is what I always forget, and forgive me if we already discussed this, but what was the difference between a cold IPA and an IPL, India Pale Lager? I forgot. I've read it before. I just can't remember. Yeah.
An IPL. Yeah, I don't even know.
Because I thought there was what I
IPL.
read. I don't know if you remember, Nick, because I know we've spoken about this in the past, but there was something like it was what I recall, and that's why I asked about the yeast. I thought, and I think I must have had this wrong then, that it used like lager yeast that's supposed to be fermented cold, but you ferment it warm or something, which did different things to the yeast or some shit that changes it up. I can't even remember, or something maybe.
Yeah, there was an article that I had read on the creation of the style from from Ecliptic and the other brewery out in Portland, Oregon that did it, and it's not fresh enough in my mind to remember, but it was distinguishing the two styles and what the distinguishing factors were. I can't exactly place off the top of my head, but now I'm curious and I'm gonna have to go look that up again.
I have it right here. So it says, don't go on mistake cold. Here we go, I'm here. So whereas IPLs depend on the lager yeast, moderate hops, and a crisp finish with straw to gold color, cold IPAs aren't afraid to unleash the hops and crank up the ABV with a crystal clear clarity. So this is not telling me what the fuck it is, bro. So it's saying they use... That didn't really tell me anything, did it? That was like fucking vague. So kind of like nothing to do with temperature.
Well, that kind of fell flat. Here you are, coming in all strong. Like I'm going to tell you what's what.
I probably should have read it before I read it out loud. This is the BSG. This is like the yeast company one. I've seen this article before. Why isn't it? Here we go. Craft Beer Joe might tell us. I think we just need to know now. It says, what is a cold IPA? Isn't about the temperature. Blah, blah, blah. The malt. Okay, the malts is used to design to provide a lighter body than maybe a straight up New England. Maybe you're trying to like chuckle oats in there and make it thick. Like you said, the oat couture is thick as fuck. I know it's got lactose in it, but it's a different approach to it. And it's dry hopped at the end of fermentation. You dry hop this, I imagine, with these hops too? Yep.
Yes, we did. Yep.
Cool, so they dry them out. Are you saying anything else about the lager yeast? Man, these people are just not clear. Tell me what the fuck it is. This is so annoying. Anyway, we're not going to look it up. We're going to sit here all night. This is not a Google show. This is not Joe Rogan. Shouts to Joe, though. I love Joe. Anyway, it's fascinating stuff, man. Oh, okay, so do you both reckon this will, like we saw what happened with brewed IPAs. I really liked them. And fun fact, I went to San Francisco in 2019, just before fucking shit hit the fan. And the brewery who invented brewed IPAs is called Social Brewery. And they're on the west side of San Francisco. I was willing to go out there. I wasn't anywhere near there. And I hit them up on social. I'm like, hey, do you have... It wasn't on their website. It wasn't on their page that they had it. I'm like, hey, do you have the brewed IPA? And they're like, no, we don't have it right now. I'm like, you invented it, bro. How did you not have it?
So even they gave up.
Even they were just like, fuck it. I was genuinely pissed because I haven't met a single human being who's had the original brewed IPA. I've had 20 different versions of it, but I've never met anyone. I was like, finally I get to try it. So it didn't work. So that lasted, what, 1 year, 2 years? Less?
For us?
Yeah.
Yeah, for you, I guess. I heard it coming out maybe a couple of years, and then it was gone.
Yeah, it was gone.
But out of all the beers that we've had our customers ask for again, I think the brewed IPA is probably the most. Where they're like,
really?
Bring it back, we miss it. Yeah. And I think at one point we brewed just way too much of it. We were kind of putting all the eggs in one basket, and like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. It's gonna sell like hotcakes, and we brewed way too much of it. And I think some of it sat on the store shelves, like we talked about before, and a lot of it went past its prime, and we had to pull a lot back. And I think it was one of those things that just like, okay, let's not make it again for a while. Let's just put this one behind us.
That's fair enough. I mean, look, that shit happens. So then with something like the Cold IPA, I know it's in your lab series, so you haven't like locked it in as much, whereas before you had this with the Brute. Do you both? I'd be curious what you both think. Do you guys think this is going to be being that we've found one in Ontario and one in Quebec, and that's as far as it's gone so far? Do you guys think that this might be something that could have some legs, or where do you guys see this going?
You can go ahead first if you've got thoughts on that, Troy. And then I'll chime in.
Yeah. I look at other styles that have come out, and how quick the uptake was with them. Let's talk about the smoothies. It did take a little while for it to catch on. It took a little while for them to refine what they were doing and make sure they didn't get separation of fruit and the liquids, and make it something that was desirable.
Mm-hmm.
I do think this has a market. I think there's a lot of people that do like those thick beers, but there's a lot that love the flavor but just want something lighter, or at least feels lighter. So I think it has legs, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere near where like smoothies were, or even just the hazy IPAs. If you want to compare it to just that, it's not going to be like the next best thing. But I think it'll be something that maybe a lot of breweries will try once or twice, and maybe carry one every once in a while, seasonal.
Okay, Nate, what do you reckon?
Yeah, my thought on this is that this is kind of already not following the same trajectory as brewed IPAs. With brutes, it was the kind of thing that as soon as anyone knew about them, within a couple of months, almost everyone and their dog was was putting out a brute until until, as we've said, it fizzled out a year and a half later. Whereas this is kind of, I think, lingering in the background. I don't think it's really I don't think it's hitting the same kind of hype status that that brutes hit for a very brief period. I feel like this kind of has a bit more of a cult following. It's something that's kind of lingering in the background, and what I think that means is that it's not going to have the same kind of meteoric rise and then just completely fall off the map like brutes did. I feel like it might stick around for longer, never quite hit the same peak, but maybe just linger in the background a little bit. The breweries who are interested in in trying their hand at it, will give it a try. You probably won't see many people doing them, but you'll see them pop up here and there.
That's completely fair.
Yep.
I think I probably
good take
align.
on it.
Yeah, I'd align with that for sure. It's going to be interesting. I think that and this is probably a question as well as like a sort of statement, but I wonder if the brute IPA situation that was pretty popular when it first came out, like brutes, people were like scrambling to do one. I remember it specifically, but then and then obviously it died off. Do you guys? And when it died off, I feel like it was like boom, like it was over. It was like, don't you dare try a brewed IPA, as opposed to
literally
slowly,
literally fell off a cliff.
Yeah, like it didn't gradually fizzle out. It just went boom, done. So, do you think that brutes may have what's the word? I was gonna say damage, but negatively affected, tarnished the reputation of these newer styles that kind of pop up that some brewery somewhere invented? And then before, with brute, everyone wanted to try it. And then now they might be like, I'm not doing this brute shit again.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty good assessment of it. When people get a bad taste in their mouth for something, and it could be for any number of reasons, they're a lot of times unwilling to even give something a chance. So, there's a lot of similarities between the brute style and this, at least the one that we did. There's a lot of similarities in what I remember it tasting like, and I haven't had one in a couple of years, but the people that have had it at our place, they've loved it, and they've asked for us to make the second one. That's why we went with the second one, and it sold quite well, quite quickly. And again, I think having it in the lab series, if we make another version of it, a .3 or .4, we just keep trying different things until we dial it in. If it falls off the cliff, like you said, with the brutes, there's nothing holding us back from just stopping it at that point and putting it behind us again. So that's why I really like this lab series, that the directions are scattering like like chickens in a chicken coop. They're just flying everywhere. People are all over the place, and it's hard to keep up as a brewery to make new and interesting things. And if we're not investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in one label on a can, and we can just make new labels for new things as we go, I think that's kind of the direction that a lot of smaller breweries are going to take, like us.
Yeah. No, I think it's great, man. And look, big props to you guys for even swinging multiple times at this style. Once again, still haven't heard of anyone else in the province doing it. And I think it's just good that at least you're willing to take a risk on it to see how people like it, and to iterate yourselves, learn more about it, tweak it, change up the hops, see what happens. I think that approach is really helpful to craft beer. And I'm obviously helpful to your business, but that's the innovation side. That this episode has to be called #Team Innovation.
Awesome.
Gotta be. But yeah, I think that's really great. I just think it's dope because we joke about it, but I really appreciate when a brewery it swings. If you miss, you miss. It is what it is. You gotta swing though. And particularly a style like this, you not only are swinging at something that you wouldn't have tried the original of, because it's all from the West Coast, and who even, same with Brew, no one's tried it, but no one else is doing it that I'm aware of. I mean, I might be wrong, but I've never seen it. Nate said he hasn't seen it either. You said you haven't, right?
No, I've been looking. I can't find one anywhere. So
you're not only are you you have to introduce this new style to your consumer base. You have to educate them on what it is, and none of us could even really figure it out because the internet's not being very helpful. You know what I'm saying? You gotta go.
No, that's a good point. There's a lot of people that come in. Maybe this is a symptom of the West Island where we're at, where they like all kinds of things. They're not really into the education of it, but there are a lot of beer geeks that are out there that do want to know, how did you make it? What yeast did you use? Was it cold fermented? Was it dry hop? They're more educated to start with, and having they're starting with that better conversation.
Right.
So, yep. Yeah, okay. There's definitely a mixed bag of people that are trying our beers.
Okay, I like that.
Interesting.
Because you got curious, mixed people, but you got the curious ones where you can explain it. But either way, you're introducing a whole new style, and you're probably having people coming in because they're going in with their friends that like beer. They don't know much about beer, and then you got to teach these people about this whole new style. I think it's cool, man. I think it's really interesting that you're even giving it a crack, and that obviously it sold well enough, and there was enough interest to do a second version. Which is awesome. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, there was some guy, I forget his name. You miss 100% of the goals you don't. 100% of the goals.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
There you go.
Right. Yeah. Forget the guy that said it. I don't know, some guy. I think he was a hockey player.
Yeah.
I think he played out west.
Back with Jordan. Oh, was it Gretzky? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, it was Gretzky.
Excuse my. Well, I don't know because I'm not from this country. I don't fucking know. I didn't know him because he has the. No, I've been around. I've been to his winery. It's pretty dope.
Nice. I've been to his bar in Toronto.
There's a bar. Oh, that bar. Isn't that like? I thought they closed that down. It was on that
maybe that was like 15 years ago when I went. Yeah.
Now he's gone all fancy. They got the distillery, a brewery, and a winery all in this one place in Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Fancy.
It's super fancy. Nice. And the beers aren't shit. I was actually pretty surprised. It's good. The wine's decent. Wow. Fucking good on him. I don't give a shit about him, but good on him. Yeah. Anyway, when we talk about Gretzky? Oh, because he said that. Yeah. So he said that. I didn't know he said that. I thought it was like Michael Jordan or something.
It sounds like a Michael Jordan quote, but yeah.
It was Gretzky. Okay.
I think Michael Jordan did say it, but I think he was quoting Gretzky when he said it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, well, excuse me. I don't know. Like, I think the other, like, if there's anyone who's not from Canada listening, they probably wouldn't have known that either. And I was just hoping that was right because I know nothing about hockey. I call it ice hockey, and people make fun of me because it's different. There's two types of hockey. I'm just saying.
There is, yeah.
And you have to differentiate.
I had a friend in high school. She played field hockey.
Yeah.
And she was the one that educated me that there's not one type of hockey. I'm like, okay.
It's true. They made us play field hockey in high school. They made us do it. And that was.
They forced you.
But when you played, what's the class called? PE. You did. Is that what's called PE? Physical education? I don't know.
PE or gym. We usually call it gym.
Oh yeah, that's North. Okay, well in Australia we call it PE, and they made you play field hockey because Australia has a wicked for the I think it's Olympic sport, and they do well, so they make you play that shit. So ice hockey, it's very different. Like they don't really have it out there. Anyways, I'm digressing very seriously here, but we're talking about the shots that you can't take or don't take or some shit. We're talking about the Gretzky quote. That's how we got going. Anyway, fuck it.
Yeah, no, and I think we want to keep trying to innovate and looking at new things and trying to make the things that we're making better. That's really the spirit of what this is doing.
Love it.
Yeah, to come back to to one of C's earlier questions there with with the conversation about brutes, you were saying do you think that kind of maybe tainted the waters a little bit in in kind of spreading that these kind of new new styles spreading in the same way. I'm not sure if that's necessarily what happened. I feel like it's a similar example to draw on, which may turn people off from it in the way that you described. What I wonder, what I wonder more is it more a symptom of where the trend focus is these days, because with haze being as hype as it is, and it's definitely become a lot of things with there are some breweries who basically have the philosophy that they have to focus on that because that's more what's selling. And if they end up kind of making their name on that, and and we know a lot of breweries that do, it ends up being a bit off-brand for them to go in the direction of of things like brewed IPAs or cold IPAs or anything else that's a little bit more off the path of what's trendy or hype. What I think I appreciate about the way you guys are doing things is when you kind of have this lab series, but which is a bit off to the side of your main lineup, is it does allow that kind of flexibility to to explore things like that. I like that because I prefer even though I'm a big haze head and I love my a thick hazy double IPA. I also like variety, and when these new styles come up, I want to I want to try them. I'm curious to try cold IPAs, which is why I think it's cool that you guys that you guys have not have done not one but two now even. So it's I think it's a good thing to be able to have that variety to mix into your lineup.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks.
I love it. I'm here for it. It's great. It's fascinating. Do you know what's even funny? While we were talking, I found another article which is on the Ecliptic and Wayfinder, the actual guys who invented it. And I still can't get a solid answer from this fucking article from their press release. I still don't have a real solid answer as to what it is. I was kind of scanning them. Okay. Yeah. You got one?
While you were pulling, while we were talking about that earlier, I found the article that I that I had referenced when we were talking about this back on the Chinwag, a little while back. Let's see if do you want to see if this answers the question, and maybe we can put this to bed so that we're not reading off of blog posts the entire episode.
let's give it a crack.
So this is from the Washington Beer blog. This is what
I'm on that right now.
Referenced when we were talking about this. So you're there. So what is cold IPA? To brew a crisper version of IPA, brewers create cold IPA using Pilsner malt and lager yeast.
Okay.
Sounds a bit like an India Pale Lager, right? Because it's an IPA, its ABV is higher than an IPL. Adjuncts rice or corn, for example, are used to lighten the body. Since this is an IPA, expect gobs of hop character, not old world hop varieties like you might find in a Pilsner, but new world hop varieties like you might find in the latest and greatest IPAs. And then it kind of goes on from there. So not a ton of detail, but it's basically explaining that it's just basically like a crossover style.
I know.
IPA brewed brewed like a lager, using lager yeast and Pilsner malt. Did you guys use Pilsner malt like in yours? Well, like what's the malt base on it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's Pilsner in there. Even the Wicked Nor'easter, there's a large base of Pilsner malt in it. And that's like I haven't had a Nor'easter in a little while. I try to save my alcohol calories for the new stuff. But it's very reminiscent of that, just that light Pilsner crispiness to it.
Mm.
I'm looking up
It's fascinating. I love it.
the malt right now.
Yeah, check that. You got the app right there. Let's fucking go. At least we kind of got to the bottom of it, sorta. I still feel. I just feel
as
like
close as we can get, perhaps.
yeah, I don't feel satiated, to be honest.
Yeah, there's Pilsner malt in there.
Okay,
There you
so that's
go.
what it's supposed to be.
That answers that.
Well, hopefully, I just think it's interesting because at least with a brewed IPA, it was like it's like an IPA but kind of like really dry. You use champagne like yeast and whatever, but this is like complicated.
That's it. Yeah.
Go ahead, Troy.
I was going to say with the brewed IPA, even in addition to the champagne yeast, we were putting amylase in there, which would just dry it down out to below zero. Plato was just super dry.
Right. But it was easy to...
I feel I mean the enzyme addition was was really what mostly made the brute a brute. That's all like the brute thing and in the champagne comparison was almost just more of a nomenclature thing than anything. The enzyme was really what did it at least from a strict stylistic perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm if you look at some of the trendy stuff right now, like the hazy IPAs, they're big mouthfeel. They're balanced. Even on the side of maybe sweet to just get your mouth open. All of the smoothies, it's all like fresh fruit. It's vibrant. It's not dry. And I think a lot of people would tend towards that versus tending towards the dry. So this the cold IPA for me is a bit more dry than that balanced sweet or full mouth body.
It is for sure.
So it's super dry.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that it's probably not going to have a rise to fame like the hazies are. Maybe that's one of the big factors.
Yeah, I don't know if any style will like it's going to be pretty difficult to eclipse a New England IPA at this point. Like it's such a part of the culture, and the hype for it hasn't gone away, which is very interesting. And the only other style was really that I would argue that's close to the hype of pastry stouts and smoothie stouts. That's really it. Nothing else has got people lining up in the snow, or people really love Crispies, but they're not going to fucking line up for a 4-pack of dry hop Pilsner or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I can't see anything competing. That's all.
Yeah. Do you line up in the snow?
I don't own New Balances. You have to actually own a pair of New Balances to line up for beer. It's actually a part of
all my New Balances have.
They won't let you in the lineup. So I have lined up in the in the snow once, on a trip to Vermont. It was by accident. I didn't realize I'd be lining up for that long. It was it was almost 2 hours. My toes were completely frozen by the end of it. I would not recommend it.
Was that for Haiti?
Oh, wow.
No, this was Hill Farmstead. Back in 2018, and half the lineup had already sold out by the time we got to the front of it. It was It was not an enjoyable experience. I don't recommend it. It's the only time I did it. I wouldn't do it again.
Yeah, lining up for it's funny jokes. Lining up for beer, we always joke about it. If you see anyone with New Balance, because you go through a beer line and like dudes are just rocking New Balance. It's actually the funniest thing of all time. And
They're comfortable as fuck. What do you mean?
They are.
I know. I never owned a pair, but I guess I need to. Particularly for the next lineup.
No, I used to have a pair, but I do way too much running now, so I have like Asics and $300 shoes. They're stupid. You got to replace them every couple months.
Yeah, you can get some crazy high. I got into sneakers like in the last year or so, and I realized that New Balance. I didn't get into them specifically, but you can get some New Balance for like $900 on StockX, or $1,000.
What?
Like it's like as hype as
of
the other stuff.
Are they bedazzled?
I wish. Fuck.
Like some of them are not far off from that, to be honest. Like with some of the crazy colors and and there are some that have the shapes that are like as wild as Yeezys. Like some of them are nuts. I had no idea that they even made this until like our group chat started sending these insane pictures of them. Like fucking New Balance makes these. I had no idea.
It's a whole new world.
I don't know what happened, but like, did I fall asleep when this whole shoe culture started? Like, I don't know what I was doing. I was starting a business. I was making beer, and then all of a sudden there's a shoe fetish everywhere. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. I don't know why. Like, I feel like I think it's been a subculture forever, but it was small. It's almost like craft beer. It was like hella small, right? And then now it's kind of blown up, and I think that's what happened with shoe culture. And just as annoying, like I only got into like Nate mentioned, I only like Yeezys. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about Jordans and all that stuff. Thank God, otherwise I'd be broke as fuck. And I only like to pay retail for them, and I've got a way to do it, but it's a luck of the draw type of thing. But you can go on these other websites where you can buy them secondary. So the Yeezys are typically about 300 Canadian for the most part, give or take. And I never would have ever spent that much on shoes. You're going to be kidding me, but I love these things, and I'm enjoying getting into it, but I won't go like the ones that I really want. And if they don't, obviously they only release certain things. So there's a secondary market, and they're like minimum double the price. So you're looking at $600 plus all the selling fees and then the shipping and all that stuff. And I don't know. I'm not super interested in spending that much money. Like I want it, but not that bad. So it's annoying to me though that the sneaker culture people have fucked up the game because they go and buy. I won't deflect too much because I know this is a beer podcast, but they go and get bots. So they go and drop it on like YeezySupply.com, and they'll have these bots that basically these people pay thousands of dollars because they're resellers. They'll get all of the shoes. So the regular people, I just want one pair that is my size I'm going to wear. I don't want to sell them and make double. I don't care. I just want to wear the shoes, but I can't get them. Because these dickheads go and do it, then you have to go and pay double the price. So they've gone and inflated these things on the secondary market and ruined the whole thing. And you could probably argue it's a similar thing with some of the hype beers where you might have like Hill Farmstead or some of the stuff. Not so much in Canada, but in the States. And people go and they'll line up or they'll get the bots on the website or blah, blah, blah. And then they'll go and trade them or sell it or whatever people do for insane values. And it's sort of like, it's an annoying part of these subcultures.
It is, yeah. And
anyway, so this podcast is now called Shoes and Other Shit. So
let's go.
On that note, we should get another beer.
Yeah, let's grab the. We doing the oat? Or are we doing straight to the bar latte?
Whichever. You
pick. Tell. What do you guys think?
Well, Troy said he wanted, we wanted to talk about oat. So why don't we do oat?
Do it.
All right. Sounds good.
In your fridge. Perfect. Oh, can you get the link up glass, please? So this one is also a Lab Series beer.
It is a Lab Series. Yep. It's the latest one that we've made. Haute Couture, which means high fashion.
Oh, I get it. Oats. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And for all of my friends that drink oat milk,
I do. I love.
I always make it. I always make a joke to them that they're drinking goat milk, my friends finally had a comeback to me. They're like, "Oh, goat Couture, okay." So,
Do you like oat
what
milk?
goes around comes around.
I love it.
I've had it. I love lattes, and I can't make a good oat milk latte with that. So
Have you ever
and
had?
I'm from a farm, so
So you're a farm guy. I respect it. Have you? I only drink oat milk. It's the greatest thing in the world. I put Tiff onto it recently. She didn't used to like it, but if you get the barista blends, oof! Like I can't. I've had like sometimes people in cafes don't listen, so I've had to figure out a full equation on how I order in cafes because they don't fucking listen. So I've been given unintentionally like regular milk lattes because I'm a latte fiend as well, and it's disgusting to me now. Like it coats my mouth. It's like mucus. It's fucking gross. But oat milk, it's money.
really, huh.
Yeah.
I'll have to give it another chance. Another
Oat
shake.
milk is delicious. I love it.
If you go to a cafe because they use the barista blends. So if you get the barista blends, they do microfoam like regular proper milk should.
Yep.
Are we doing a pour shot? Into the pot? Okay. So, tell us about this. I know we keep getting distracted tonight, Bruce.
Yep. So oat cream.
Tell us about
this is the first one we've tried. I've been seeing this style come out from a lot of the trendy breweries. I think we were at a good point in our New England IPA discovery process to know what our base recipe should be. And then we had to introduce oats to it, lactose to it, and I think this first rendition of this, our customers, I think, spoke for us. This beer sold out way faster than any other beer did. So
nice.
I think it was really good. It's citrusy. It's a touch on the sweet side from the lactose. It's full bodied, really well balanced. I love it.
I'm excited.
All right, well, let's have a taste.
Get it in ya. I'll be there in just a moment.
Oh no! Sorry, Tiff is still taking the pictures of C's there.
We're okay. We're good. All right, get it in ya.
All right, there we are. Cheers.
Cheers.
Love it. See, oat cream IPAs are fantastic.
Yeah, that's nice.
So this one has Citra and Simcoe, which is a nice little nice combo. Can never go wrong.
Yep.
Super creamy. What is this? 8%, right?
8%. Yeah.
Does not taste 8%. My goodness.
No, dangerous. Yeah, I've had a couple of nights. Yeah, maybe these nights were the nights that led me to doing dry January. I have a, we were talking earlier about gateway beers that bring non-craft beer people into this world.
Yes.
And like anybody, I used to drink a lot of Stella Artois and Heineken, and my buddies as well, and a lot of them continued on that while I went on this venture of craft beer. And in the beginning, I would bring them, an ESB or the Gold Digger Pilsner, and they'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna keep drinking my whatever beers.
Right.
But as soon as I started bringing them these New England IPAs, like the first beer, they're like, too bitter, too what is that dandelion taste? What is that grapefruit taste? I don't get it. But then after 3, 4, now they can't stop. Now that's really the gateway. And I saw it so many times. It's a thing. Yeah, this one exemplifies that. It's has that hop vibrance to it, and it's creamy and it's balanced, and yeah, I like this one a lot.
Yeah, this is super solid, man. The mouthfeel is crazy, I guess, because I just saw it on Untappd. It's 50% of it's 50% oats for the whole thing, which is significant. As well as the lactose. Oh, you're saying it's tastes like orange jelly beans. I love those weird ass tasty notes, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. I'll tell you something that occurs to me with this too. I've discovered for myself a newfound appreciation for Simcoe in like in hazy IPAs. Um,
Yep.
because a lot of because a lot of hazy IPAs like can be pretty one note. Like you mentioned like you mentioned the sweetness that usually comes out that usually comes out of it, and particularly with big thick haze, um, you know, there's a lot of under attenuated ones out there, and kind of really unhinged, not super balanced ones where you really just get like a lot of residual sweetness in them, and that's kind of all you end
Yep.
up tasting sometimes. But
Yep.
like for the ones that have a bit better refinement to them and a bit more of a balanced hop profile, when you add in something like Simcoe, which adds a bit more of an earthy note or a bit of a
That's what
more of
it
a
is.
piney note, that provides some good balance of flavor to the to the
Yep.
tropical notes of your citrus and your mosaics and whatnot. So it
Mm.
that adds a nice touch of balance, which I am tasting in this as well. And yeah, the mouthfeel on this is incredible. This is really nice. This is right up my alley.
Yeah.
Yep. That's 20 some different renditions of hazy IPAs to get to this point where we're really figuring out the balance. And it's quite interesting. We just crossed 24. We had one of our brand ambassadors that collected, well, at least one can of each of the labs and saved them, and he wanted to put together his own version of an advent calendar. So during all of December, he went through every single beer and he tried every beer from the very beginning. Now, a lot of those beers were from over a year ago, and some of the first ones, like the Bélin Bravo, I forget the name of the second one, they were special. They were our first attempts at these really hazy ones. But he said he tried them. He muscled he muscled his way through it, and knew that better things were on the way. And it was just him telling that story, brought up a lot of emotion of us going through all this at the beginning of the pandemic and just not really being sure what was going to happen, and knowing where we are now with this, with the haute couture, and knowing what we're going to be doing next. I think we're in a really good spot, and I really love what we're doing right now with this. So
That's dope, man. I love that. And that's cool that he put together like a the full calendar of all this stuff, because that's crazy.
Yep.
Particularly with the older stuff.
Yes.
But at least you can see. It might not be completely accurate because obviously there's no way to really freeze it in time and keep it how it is.
Yeah.
But you'd probably be able to see the growth, particularly if something like this is. When was this one canned? 17th of December.
December 17th is what I
Yeah.
saw. So it's just coming up on a month.
Which is like a nice, like you said, I like to drink usually mine within a month is usually my top end of hazy IPAs. But
That's
this feels
it,
like it would hold up longer. This doesn't taste dropping. Is this dropping to you yet? Because you would know better.
Well, trying to think the last time I had like 4 of them the last time I had one, so it was a little cranked. But
I was gonna say,
oh man,
4.8%.
that must have been a rough night.
it was a rough night. I didn't drive home. I stayed over at my buddy's house. It was rough.
I would think so.
No, yeah, it's I feel like the hop presence was a little bit greater in the beginning of it. I'm seeing it, at the beginnings of the tailing off right now. But there's so many other things going on with the beer that I think it's holding it up nicely.
Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree. This, I haven't tasted it fresh, so I don't have so I don't have anything to compare it to. But this to me does not taste like something that is dropping off. Like this has some nice punchy hop profile to it. It's it's tasting pretty good. So
Yeah.
without having another reference point for something that's 1 or 2 weeks on, I would say this holds up pretty nicely. And it's like I was saying before, to have your beers be able to stand up to to 4 to 6 weeks or so is a plus for sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, particularly in these day and age, and sometimes people might either overbuy. You know, I feel like a lot of us craft beer nerds are get excited sometimes with new stuff. Like, oh yeah, give me a whole bunch of these, and then there's a whole bunch of new releases at once, and all of a sudden your fridge is overflowing, and then you're like, shit. Then things start getting caught in the back, and then you're like, oh man, I forgot this was here. Fuck, like, but if it still holds up, that's what we're all concerned about. And I think that, like you said, I know you're joking before, but like, how much do you drink? I'm like, I try not to go. I've got like 4 nights a week I drink. I've got a strict regimen that's kept me.
Oh, that's good. That's good. You do it,
and I've been able to stick to it pretty religiously, which is good. But the concern that I always have is when I get haze, and I start to stress. And obviously, I typically have haze, and then there's multiple sides to it. You prioritize the haze due to the shorter lifespan, which means you don't always get to other things, which I'm starting to find a bit annoying. And then on top of that, sometimes you could just fuck up, and then all of a sudden you're drinking it. Oh yeah, man, this was expensive, and now it tastes not like ass, but it's not like what it was. And I know that the brewer would be like, oh man, I would have loved for you to taste it exactly how it was meant to be. So.
Yep. And it's easy to fall into that. I mentioned that I was in Toronto. I did a tour of Third Moon and Badlands and Bandit, and we filled up the back of the Jeep with we had 6 flats of beer in there. And I just only now, almost 2 months later, got my way through just that. And I make sure that I don't
through that already. Holy shit!
Well, a lot of it was giving it away and trying it with buddies.
Right.
No, but there was a lot of beer.
Yeah.
And but that was part of my role, I think, in trying to figure out what other people are doing. And that's something I didn't do in the first couple of years of opening the business. It was just make beer, sell the beer, market the beer. Don't worry about anybody else. Worry about yourself. And then I realized that I have to be worried about everybody else. I want to see what everybody else is doing. I want to make sure that I have relationships. And that's like you opened the podcast about talking about where this started, and I've always had this thing where I want to be part of this industry that works together. And this past year, going out and visiting breweries and working with them, it's really cemented a lot of those relationships, and just making me remember why I started this is because of the community, the brewers, the owners. They're just also embracing. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But it's important for me to go and see what people are doing and see what beers are out there, but then also trying some new shit.
Totally, man. I couldn't agree more. And what I've noticed over the years of doing the podcast and talking to people like yourself who are owners, who, you guys are in a capital heavy business where, and it takes up your time a lot as well. So you've got a lot riding on it. There's brick and mortar. You've got a team off the rip. Like, our business, Tiff and I, we ran it by ourselves for years until now we have a team. But like, you don't have that option. You can't be a bartender and a brewer and a janitor and an owner and an accountant all at the same time. Like, you need all these roles. Right?
I only know one brewer that does that. Just one.
Yeah.
Do you know Trevor? Do you know Trevor Livingstone?
I've spoken to him. Never met him, but I've spoken to him online. Okay, he does everything.
He does everything. He brews. He works the bar. I think the only help he gets is from his wife. She does some of the social media and all the books.
Wow.
I can't imagine. I remember early days where my partner and I were trying to do everything. It's just a lot. It's so much.
It is a lot. So I didn't know that about Trevor. So respect to him, man. That's great.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I think the one thing though that people don't get to do, because your head is down and you're just working in your own stuff and you're sampling your own beer and you're trying to just take your brand forward and put out fires every day and just make things work.
Fires
constantly, right? But you don't get to do that. And I think that's really awesome that you took the time to like put your head up and be like, all right, it's time for me to look around a bit. Because like the one person I always admired or was kind of jealous of was Luke from Luke from Bellwoods. That motherfucker. Yep. So he's the owner. He was like the biochemist who was making all the beers, changing the game in Ontario. That dude was just all he did for years up until all of this was just travel North America and Europe mostly, do collabs with some of the best breweries in the world,
Yep.
and just be in beautiful places with his family. And it was like, God damn it, bro, you've really got it locked
What
down.
what a life that must be.
But that's what he set up for himself, because probably the first while he just had his head down brewing and making the beers. Then he took it upon himself to get to that point and just go around and be that brand ambassador, not in the like the real brand ambassador, like it's your brand and I'm the face of the brand and I started this and I made these beers, and you got to go out there and go to Third Moon and go to all these different places and connect with the people and build those connections. And I think that was really valuable that you did that, because at Ontario, I mean, obviously, I'm here in Montreal, Nate's in Ottawa. Ontario and Quebec are basically what we represent for the most part here on BAOS, and I love to see that proactiveness of going out to the other province when it is hard to do that. So I respect that a lot, man. I think it's smart.
It is. It takes time out of my schedule, and but it's something that has to be done, and I love doing it. Like I kind of made that my vacation for this year. It was just a long weekend for 5 days. We went to Toronto. It was super condensed, and we went to as many brewers as we could, try to lay as many rows as we could, and unfortunately we were there the week before Third Moon opened their tap room. Guys, sorry man, can't drink here yet. Right before, but I'll be back. They're super nice. I got a lot of beer from them. They know what they're doing. I really want to tip my hat.
That's for sure.
Tip my hat to them. They started midst of COVID, didn't have a tap room, and created they're the disruptors in this country right now. They have nailed it. Like I went there to learn. I really went there to learn. Yeah. I'm like, what are you guys doing? And you've been to our place. We're in an industrial section in the middle of nowhere.
Just like that.
I went to their place just like them. It was
really
exactly
similar, actually. Like it's incredibly similar.
So it doesn't matter where you are, and they're 45 minutes out of Toronto. Like, West Island is, half an hour from downtown. There's no reason that we can't be something similar to that. I don't want to say be them, but there's no reason why we can't do that. So
I like that.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask, and you touched on this, and I think this is a good segue there. What did you learn overall? Like, you don't have to go into super specifics, but taking that 5 days and you hit up and all the breweries you mentioned are exceptional. What did you learn from just visiting the place? It's just some maybe small things that come to mind. Just from visiting, talking to people and stuff.
Every brewery is different. They all have things that drive them. They all like to work with certain people or certain breweries. They all have their own challenges. I was at Badlands, and he was talking about working with the city and trying to get permits and setting up his equipment on the farm, and then you go to Bandit, and it's they're a terrace brewery, so being closed with COVID, they have their struggles, but they have a fantastic barrel program. They have a more of a diverse lineup. So it's that every brewery is different, and we're all struggling trying to figure out what we're doing. And I think a lot of them do want to work with other breweries, and they're trying to figure out how and where to find the time to do so. That was kind of what I picked up from that is you got to get out there, and you got to see what's happening and start having conversations with other breweries and see what they're willing to do, see if they're willing to work with you.
Yeah. Did you manage? I know you might not be able to say it yet, but did you manage to tee up any collabs or some sort of working together with any of these Ontario folks?
Not cross border. I was trying to see, it's tough to get out there all the time and keep up that conversation.
Yeah.
But I laid out some feelers. I don't know if you know Badlands.
Yeah. I don't know the guys from there, but I know the brewery.
Yeah. So it's another Troy that he's one of the, I guess he's the owner of Badlands. I went out there. I was intending to meet Troy Bursch from
Oh,
Great
Great
Lakes.
Lakes. Yeah.
Yep.
He's the
Yeah,
man.
Yep. Yeah, we know
yeah.
Troy.
I was intending to go meet him, but he wasn't available on the weekend, and our schedules didn't align. So I went up to Badlands, and I didn't know Troy out there. I'm like, how often are there three Troys in brewing ever? So on the spot, and I was a little bit cranked at this point. I'm like, why don't you, me, and Troy at Great Lakes make a trifecta beer? And I thought that was the
Oh, that's
most
fucking
awesome
brilliant.
idea. But like I said, everybody's busy. Everybody's has their plans that they're doing for the next 6 months, a year. So um, I want to keep pushing on that. I think that would be an awesome idea. And I'm really trying to work on a cross-border collab.
Mm.
I think Quebec and Ontario are close enough that a lot of people go back and forth. And
Oh yeah.
I look at some of the breweries close to borders like Wood Brothers, and 90% of their clientele is from Montreal. So people do travel
That's
for
true.
beer. That's
They
clear.
do.
Yep. So yeah, that's one thing that I'm gonna keep working at. I'm gonna keep chipping at it. So
I like it, man. That's great. I mean, like that's what I want to see personally. That's I imagine Nate feels the same way. Being between it, I want to see more of that because I felt like what I was saying before. A lot of breweries just on their head down working, right, and they don't have the time. And if you're
yep,
not able to take the time to go out there and meet them, like how else are you
yep,
supposed to connect with them? Because there's not I
that's
mean,
it.
there's a Canadian Brewing Awards, but like to be honest, the hyper brew, like I don't think Third Moon go to that or Badlands go to that or any of those type of people. So like
That's it.
there's not many opportunities for everyone within Canada to go and meet everyone
Yep.
else.
That's
So
it. And
Yeah.
even our local group, the AMBQ,
AMBQ,
the Association of Microbrewers of Quebec.
keep talking.
You go there, and it's not everybody's there. Not all the hyped up breweries are there. They're busy. They're maybe not part of that. I'll call it big boys club, or white hair club, whatever you want to call it. It's the incumbent old breweries, and even the ones that do go there. There's not a lot of business like planning stuff going on. There's some networking, but it's not like, okay, let's do this collab. We're all together now. We have some time. They're like, oh, let's hold off and see, and we'll get back to you, because it's tough to think about all the things that are going on the spot, and trying to figure that out. So I think it's important to have someone, or you make it part of your day to day, that you carve out time to go talk to them.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a really that's a really interesting thing, and as you're talking about going to meet these other people in the scene, and it occurs to me that it's easy for a lot of people to kind of dismiss collabs as as marketing gimmicks, and not to say that marketing is not is not a part of it, because it definitely has to be, and and that's not to be discounted, but there
Yep.
are there are so many opportunities for for brewers and breweries to to learn from each other, and it sounds like
Yep.
like you say, if if you're going down to Third Moon and talk to people like Bebo and Chris, and if you're talking if you're talking to Troy at Badlands or Troy at at Great Lakes, there's the industry only gets better if if the people in it are learning from each other, and
Yep.
and working together, and those are fun things to see, and I think it's an overly simplistic view to dismiss it as as nothing but a marketing gimmick, because there definitely are benefits to making the scene grow on
Yep.
that.
Yep. No, there's definite marketing advantages to it. There's I guess bulk or mutual buying power. I look at, and they're pretty vocal about it. Masorum and Buchanan, Wood Brothers, they're pretty tight with the Yakima Chief guy, Luke,
Luke.
Yep.
and they all go and pick their hops for the year, and I'm so jealous of. I'd love to be part of that and go pick out my hop field, but there's a lot more to it than the marketing. And yeah, one thing I instill in our brewer Dan, and for these collabs that we have coming up for our 5th anniversary is, you know, let's look at these other breweries that we want to work with. What are some things that they're great at making that, either we've struggled or we've never made before, and let's try to do something with them that we can learn from them. And when time comes for them to do a collab with us, let's share some of our hard learned lessons or research what we've found with them on that. It's kind of a give and take. So there's so many advantages to working together, and this industry, I think, more than any other industry, is one that can do that. I was, walking my dog today, and we're talking about the brewing industry and comparing it to like restoration. And a lot of restaurants don't work together. They basically fight all the time. They're just trying to carve out market share.
Right.
Whereas breweries, I find, there is competition, obviously, but they're more willing to work with each other than fight with each other.
I've definitely very, very rarely seen any dramas within breweries, at least publicly.
Yep.
It's definitely
maybe behind the scenes, but definitely not publicly.
And it's just like a strangely friendly. Is that right? Strangely friendly industry where everyone does want to work together and just collaborate. Like you said, it's cool that they're not all. A lot of breweries don't really care about their secrets and all that type of stuff. They'll share their like you said, their wins and whatever they're doing. So if you had something to say, go for it. But I was going to segue into the 5-year anniversary that we were. I'd love to hear more about what's going to happen with that, man. Because if you've got a bunch, I don't know what you can say yet, but
I think everybody that's involved knows what's happening, and I don't want to keep it too much of a secret. And I'm pretty sure that they like the exposure too. So, you do you know the guys at Four Origins?
Yep, Keegan and Mike.
Mike and Keegan. Yep. So they open a new place in Dorval. They're our neighbors now. We like good neighbors. We've worked with them before. We've collaborated with them before.
What was the beer you did with them? Because that's familiar.
We made a Blanche de l'Ouest, and they made a Blanche de Sud-Ouest.
Sud-Ouest. Gotcha. That's what it was.
Yeah, I remember that one.
That one was really interesting. Talk about working together or using the same recipe. A lot of I'll step this back a little bit. One of my previous partners was always concerned that people would steal our recipes and take what we're doing. But after he left, we worked on this collab with Four Origins, the first one, and we had the exact same recipe, the exact same water profile, the exact same everything, and the two beers came out drastically different. So
oh really?
I really it's a different brewer making it. There's so many factors into the equipment and how efficient they are. But the beers were drastically different. They were not even close. So I really
that's really cool.
Wouldn't be scared if anybody took my recipes on the brew sheets and tried to make them. I'd love to see how they turned out. Actually, that would be an awesome experiment for me to see how close they could get.
That's cool.
So that said, they're one of our cornerstone collabs we're doing. I won't let everybody know what beers we're going to make, but I'll just let everybody know that we're working with people.
Okay.
The second one, obviously Trevor. I've known him from before I opened my place and before he opened his place. He actually bought homebrew equipment that my first partner had. We had two setups, and I kept mine for the brewery. We use it still for some of our pilot batches, and he sold his kit to Trevor. So the second one's with him. Third one with Drew at Kanawagi.
Nice.
Now this one, we were talking about smoothies and fruit additions and beers. Maybe we'll do that with him. We'll see.
Drew is loving the smoothies lately, so
he is. Yeah. So talking about learning some things from some people that have tried it and gone through the trials and tribulations of doing that. So that's one that we're going to be doing with him. The other two are not with breweries. They're with people that we've met along the way, that have helped us and we've helped them. Vox and Hops. I don't know if you know Matt from Cryptopsy.
Oh, I do.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
We know, Matt.
You know.
Yep. So we're gonna make a I don't yeah, we have a name for it, but it's along his heavy metal line of beers. And the last one is the Beer Babes family. One of their founders is really close with our brewery, and we've helped them, they've helped us. We both create awareness for each other's causes. So and that one we're going to be giving away a portion of the proceeds to a charity to which they support. So it's going to be a little bit of a charitable thing as well. So yeah,
that's a great lineup, bro. That's awesome.
No, it's going to be fun. It's a lot of work to organize this. I tip my hat to these breweries that do collabs, once a month. We're doing this, once a year, and trying to organize all this stuff between the labels and different designers and the recipes that we're building with different people, and everybody has their ideas of what they want to get out of it. So it's been a lot of work, and our team has been trying to keep up with running everything else. So I think it's going to be awesome. Hopefully everything's open by then. Yeah.
When is the anniversary?
So the anniversary is actually early February, but I'm not confident that things are going to be open by then. So we've kind of made a conscious decision to push it back by a month. We're going to do a kind of a fake anniversary in early March.
Right.
Hopefully the weather might cooperate. We can actually get out on the terrace for this. So we'll we're shooting for early March.
Okay.
Maybe first week of March. Yeah.
That is fair. I guess they didn't announce. I know they're lifting the curfew on Monday, but I don't know if they announced any openings then. So that means the Sunday closure stays?
I don't know what's going on. I'm having a tough time keeping up with the flip-flopping.
Yeah.
I'm happy the curfew's gone. I don't think that achieved anything. We'll keep it at that. Yeah. I haven't heard that bars or restaurants or breweries are able to operate, but I do know that there are a few restaurants that are a little fed up, and they're going to stage a little civil disobedience action on if things aren't opened naturally by January 31st, that they're going to open. So I'm gonna keep a pulse on that. I'm willing to open if people are going to open, because I think we should be open.
I agree. Without getting into it, I agree. But look, man, I think it's smart that you did push it to allow for, you don't want to have your anniversary and your bar's not even open. So I can imagine that being a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. It's unfortunate because the 5th anniversary is like your first kind of milestone.
It is,
yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but look,
I can't believe it's been 5 years already. It's like, I think back to when we had our first podcast, and that seemed like we were already established and into it. And now it's just so far beyond that. It's a little
and back in those days, I think you guys were still mostly in growlers, and every now and then you had you had the Nor'easter and the Gold Digger in cans, but and look where you are now.
That's it. That's such an interesting comment.
I forgot about that.
I remember early days. I was bolstering that. 40% of our taproom sales was growlers. I'm like, so amazing. I'm so glad that they allowed growlers. Now it's just cans. nobody cares about growlers anymore. It's all about cans. It's just easier, and
man.
I remember the
things
first.
Change.
Yeah, how times change.
Yeah. Nate, you actually tripped me out because I forgot about that. I remember there was, I don't know if I can't remember the dude's name, but he used to work for you. I didn't meet him. I didn't meet you at the time, but I met this one guy, and he gave me like 3 growlers at the like really early on. And one of them was, I think that
it was probably
Pat.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think one of them was the early versions of all the beers, the Gold Digger, the Nor'easter, and I don't remember what the third one was. I'm pretty sure there was 3.
Okay.
And I was like, I was never really a growler guy, but if I got them, I kind of appreciated it because it was fun. Just something different. Oh yeah, I got this growler. Yeah. And like the beers were super solid back then as well, and it was just interesting because it was almost like exciting because you hadn't. This was definitely pre-can. So I don't know if you remember when you started canning, but maybe this was 2018?
2018.
So this could have been June 2018.
End of June, beginning of July. Yes, I remember exactly. That year I went to Alberta with my kids, and we left right after school ended. So I picked them up from school, went to the airport. It was like a weekend before Saint Jean Baptiste.
Right.
And the timing was that we were canning our first batch of beers that weekend, or I think the week when I was gone. And I had full trust in Dan, our brewer, and my other partner. He was going to help out, and everything went smooth. We got all the beers delivered to where they needed to go, to all the depths, and everything was great. The beer came out fantastic. It was only a couple of months after that I learned my partner, Cam, he nearly dropped a whole pallet of packaged beer, saran wrapped, off the back of the dock.
Oh no!
It started sliding.
Oh, no.
Because there's a little bit of a lip at the edge. It started sliding, and he slipped. He told me the story. He slipped and he grabbed onto the handle of the jigger, and luckily caught the handle, which drops to the floor, and it stopped before it fell over the edge. That would have been a disaster.
Oh no!
Yeah, I remember that day.
A whole
I remember
pallet.
hearing about it after. Yeah.
Thank God you weren't there for that the heart problems wouldn't be worth it. Jesus.
That's it. Yeah, I probably would have lost 20 years of my life that day.
Man, that's crazy, but it's really cool.
It's been a little while. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's it's cool when you think of it like that. As far as when you started off and then the only packaging with growlers, and then cans became like a bit of a necessity, and started with some flagships and did all the fun stuff. I remember even when we did the pod, the first one, there was just a whole bunch of like just random things you were testing out. I don't even remember what they were in hindsight now, but I remember there just being a whole bunch of different stuff. So you probably would have just kegged everything, and then now you've got this lab series where you can, a lot more people are able to try out the test series with the distro and things like that. So the growth is beautiful, man. It's great to see.
Yeah, to start with, we wanted to drive a little bit more traffic into the brewery, so it was all the labs were exclusive at the brewery, but we've kind of cemented more of our partnerships with some of the DBSQ stores around, at least the greater Montreal area, and given them access to the labs. We want to keep it that, each place doesn't have cans sitting on the shelf for a year. We want to make sure they're pushed out, but in order to do so, like these stores need to know about us. They want to work with people they know, and likewise with us, we want to work with people that we know as well. So we're really working hard on those relationships, and again, that's part of getting out and having these conversations with the people that support us, and letting them know about our beers and what goes into to our products. So yep, all the labs at your local DBSQ stores around the island of Montreal.
Love it. Everyone can grab them. It's beautiful. Was there anything else we want to make sure we touched on? We're coming up on 2 hours. We've done pretty good. Was there anything else we want to make sure we get into?
I think I talked about what I need to talk about.
I love it. Nathaniel, was there any other other topics we need to bring up you can think of? Just want to make sure we covered it.
No, I don't. No, I don't think so. I think this was a good chat.
Yeah, definitely good, man. It was really
Nice.
great to catch up and try some of the new beers and hear about it. I mean, this is fantastic. I love this. This is right up my alley. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I love
Yeah, this
ending on
this
this one.
was,
This is one of my favorite.
Yeah, I can see why. This is a genuine pleasure. I'm really enjoying this one.
Yeah, they were all really great, man. It was like a super interesting thing, a whole new style, a great crispy, and obviously a tried and true oat cream. I actually find that now I think about it, I think most oat creams are usually around the like 6, maybe 7% mark. So it's kind of cool to try one that's at the 8% mark, but it's not like this bursting sweetness thing, which is probably something that could happen with that much, oats and maybe not the oats so much, but the lactose could sometimes make them overly sweet. But it's kind of like this nice, I was about to say sweet spot, but this nice, not so sweet spot. It's
good and balanced. It's good and balanced.
There you go. Yeah, man.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm going to feed that feedback to our brewer Dan. You met Dan. He was on our last podcast. Yeah. No, he's been killing it with this. I'm just super happy with where we're at right now.
It's great to see, man. I love to see the growth, and like I was saying in the beginning, I really enjoy, doing these follow-up podcasts, which obviously we won't let it go as long for the next one. But it's sometimes kind of cool when it does and get that long, where we're like, wow, there's just look at all of this stuff that's happened, and then even Nate bringing up the growlers, I totally forgot about that. Like that's crazy. Like
we actually
in the best way.
I actually just removed the growler machine that we had. We had a craft tap growler machine, which it purged out all the CO2 and topped it off with gas, and it extended the life of the growler. But people were just we went from filling 40 growlers a night to 5 growlers a week. So it was just like we don't need this extra hassle. There's just it's just interesting how things evolve, and it was awesome that you brought that back up. Just memories.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I love it, man. Troy, really appreciate your time, bro. This has been really, really cool. Where can everyone find Labrosse online and in real life?
So labrosse.com, you can, visit our virtual store there. We have all of our beers available. You can actually make orders through our e-commerce thing, which will, allow you to pick it up and pay for it at the brewery. Instagram and Facebook, either Labrosse Brewery or Microbrasserie Labrosse. That's about it.
I love it. That is beautiful. Just before we go into Nate, let's get the screenshot, the thumbnail. So I'm gonna take a screenshot of all of us here. We're gonna hold up some cans so we can let everybody know what's recording. Oh, here we go. We're gonna see if we get 3. There we freaking go. Look at that, mate. Bloody ripper. Yeah. Promote that one. Ready? Stunning. Nate, where can everybody find you online, bro?
All right. Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, it's at NathanDoesBeer. You can also find me on the BAOS podcast blog. All of my blogs are quick linked at NathanDoesBeer.com. And you can, of course, find me right here at BAOS Podcast.
Damn right. I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Stick around once I end, and we'll wrap up there. But once again, Troy, Nate, thank you both for hanging out tonight. This was super fun. Everybody, thank you for watching and listening. If you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit the notification bell, Nate.
Ding.
So you know when the new drops. Follow us on social media at BAOS Podcast. Make sure you check out Link Up. We have at Link Up Beer everywhere. We got the glassware now. We got 7 weeks of new releases for all going to a great cause. So check that out. What do I say? I fucked myself up. Follow us everywhere at BAOS Podcast. I did say that. And then, I shouldn't have done that. I got like a pattern. It's like a flow. What else do I say?
Yeah, you gotta not change it up, man.
I know. I should have done it at the end. I looked at the glass as I said it. I was like, oh yeah, I wanted to say that. Check out the long form audio. We drop every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern every week. Make sure you follow. And Spotify added a little 5-star thing. So if you're on Spotify, go hit the 5-star thing. It helps a ton with getting us up in search and all that type of nonsense. So we'll be back next week. Troy, Nate, appreciate you both. We'll see you guys next time. Get it in ya.
Thank you.
Cheers.